Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of POVincent, and I got a special guest star today, my buddy and host of his own channel, CineMike, Mike.
Hello, everybody.
Thanks for coming, Mike. I appreciate you doing the crossover.
Sure, you did it for me a couple times, so here I am.
It's about time, exactly. No, but anyway, on today's episode, we are doing spoiler review of Justice League. So, Mike, now you went into this a little bit more into your review, which, by the way, if you guys want to check out our non-spoiler reviews, I will leave links down in the description for both of us, all right? But yeah, you went a little bit of this into your review. Me, I completely held back because I just want to go all out here in the spoiler. Superman coming back in Justice League. Now, there's a lot to talk about with him involving his comeback, the way he is, other little things. But in general, how did you feel about Superman in this film?
Well, the thing is, I felt that it wasn't totally a spoiler just because we all knew he was going to come back.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't mean that. I just want to, like, when I talk about it, I don't want to hold back at all. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, Henry Cavill was already mentioned in the cast list and stuff, so I knew he was coming back. I didn't know how they're going to bring him back. Superman Lives storyline in the comics and the Death of Superman, you could have done 2 movies, off of each of those.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
Easily. Just solo films about his death and return. So both felt condensed and rushed. The whole Doomsday thing, last one, was so rushed.
There's a lot of rushed things in these DCEU films.
Yeah.
The team-ups, anyway.
So, I mean, his return, I remember that when Batman said, we could use these cubes to bring him back. I was like, is that how you're doing it? So I was at first kind of negative about it, but once he, was fully back, not in his crazy state, but once he was actually in his right state of mind again, that was the best representation of Henry Cavill's Superman that I've seen yet.
Agreed. He actually is just acting like Superman. Something we only kind of got glimpses of in Man of Steel. Because, he does act nice and humble and like a good man in Man of Steel, but then he gets held down with all the destruction and all that stuff. In this one, he does actually act like Superman. When Lois is, breaking down in front of him, he's like, I wasn't Lois Lane while you were gone. He's like, it's okay. I got you, babe. I got you.
I got you, babe.
But anyway, it was actually just refreshing for him to just act like Superman. He doesn't seem held down by the past events of the previous films anymore. And he's just ready to be back in the world. Now, let's get into this next part regarding Superman, which is the CGI elephant in the room. What did you think of his upper lip?
I noticed it. The most I saw it was the opening scene of the movie. The opening scene is like this kid recording Superman on his iPhone or something like that and asking him questions. Yeah. That was so noticeable.
Oh, God.
I think it was because of the grain effect they added to the cell phone.
Yeah, that didn't help.
It wasn't terrible otherwise. I noticed it, but that was the moment where I was like, oh, Christ.
Yeah, I feel like it was most noticeable, during the final climactic battle. I feel like there was a lot of it there. A little bit in the cornfield with Lois, but not a lot. It just, every time he was on screen, I was having flashbacks to Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One. Just like, that doesn't look real. I can't accept this. This is not right.
Yeah.
It was really distracting. But
if you want to talk about visual effects, most of the visual effects in this movie weren't that great.
Yeah, no, I went into this in my review, and I know you did too. Oh my God, Steppenwolf alone, the main villain.
Worst moment of CGI in the movie for me, though, was Aquaman surfing the Parademon. Did I say Parademon? Oh, it is Parademon. I was thinking about the Demogorgon.
No. Oh, the Demogorgon showed up.
I'm mixing up my my nerd universes. That's Anyways, okay. Parademon, we surfed the Parademon down through the building and then pops out on his feet. It just looks so fake.
It does. It's the physics of it, the way he lands and stuff. It doesn't feel. I don't feel like his feet hitting the ground. He should have whoop, just a trash can. Anyway, he should just have and he's just kind of
Yeah, you know what would have fixed it for me? Is if he landed through the building, crashed all the way down to the bottom level, and blew out all the windows of the bottom level, and then walked out.
Yeah, that would have been badass.
That would have been much better.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're going to get off Superman now. Just one last thing with Superman. We've talked about this, because we're friends. We talk about, we can't wait for these crossovers. We talk about this stuff. Any scene where Superman's interacting with the Flash was just fun.
Yeah.
It just was. Especially in the fight scene when Superman's fighting the Justice League. That scene is, I think it's the best scene in the movie. It's just so memorable and so fun. When, Flash is going at Superman, and Superman's he's got Aquaman and Wonder Woman. And at first he doesn't see Flash, but it's very subtle. It's Flash, they go to Flash, go to Superman, go to Flash, go to Superman. Now his facial expression has changed. go to Flash, back to Superman. Now his eyes looking over there, back to Flash, and now his whole face is like, bitch.
Ezra Miller's face was fantastic.
It was great, yeah.
I think he was in such mid-stride he couldn't stop himself, so he was just like panicking on the way.
Yeah, plus he's never encountered any other being that has super speed, so there's like a very, very brand new experience for him.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the scene where they were one-upping each other with how many they could save. It reminded me of the Lord of the Rings thing between Legolas and Gimli.
Yeah.
Like, how many they could kill.
Yeah.
But he saves like a truck, like a little pickup truck of people, and then Superman carries a building of people. And the post-credit sequence also where they race was so nostalgic for me because I've seen that in comics. I saw that in Smallville. You saw Clark race Barry in that. Something about that just really hit my nerd strings when you saw them racing at the end. Obviously, I'm betting you that was a Joss Whedon add-on.
I feel like, especially since the CGI lip is present in that scene, so I feel like that too.
Which I will say that, it's weird. I've seen criticisms about Joss Whedon's contributions because they say that they feel like it muddles up the formula or the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
I think that only happens briefly here and there. Honestly, I think the humor added to the movie.
Yeah. Humor, the fact that they changed the contrast and there's like color in the movie, like actual color. It's great. And you can tell there's a few scenes, like if you watch the first trailer, you can tell there's certain scenes in the movie that were supposed to be at nighttime and then they got switched to day. Like the fight scene with Superman, you look in the old trailer, there's like a clip or two of that and it's nighttime. So I think the differences were a good choice.
I was really happy for Henry Cavill in this movie just because it felt like this was the first time he truly got to play the character the way it was intended and, not all emo and everything. And, I think that casting-wise, he is a great choice for Superman. Really strong choice. I just feel like he hadn't had the proper direction or writing. And even though he's in this very, very minimal, he's not in this movie very much. Even in the brief amount of time he's in this movie, he was more Superman in this movie than the last two movies combined. So I was happy for him.
Okay.
There's one or two moments where I felt maybe the humor was a little unnecessary, but for the most part, I thought Joss Whedon's contribution to the humor worked.
Yeah. And a lot of the humor does come from our new Flash, Ezra Miller. I feel moments, I think, like, because his personality in this film is like, he's like, not antisocial in the way, like, I hate society, I must be separate from it. No, he just never like moved on with his life after the death of his mother. Which I find it funny that he has literally, like, the trailer doesn't make that up. He has no friends. I find that a little weird. But overall, the character is still enjoyable, so it's not like ruined the character for me.
Well, I will say that in this movie, he worked fantastic as comedic relief, but in his solo film, they're going to have to scale back his comedy a little bit, because if he's just that funny in his solo film all the way, then I think it'll be a little much. But I mean, you needed him in this one, though, because, again, you needed that light to balance the dark, and then his movie, I think you got to add a little more weight and drama to his character.
Right.
But yeah, he was great, though. I definitely enjoyed him.
Anyway, let's talk a little bit about Cyborg, because he was one of the new characters that was introduced in this film, played by Ray Fisher, which I haven't seen Ray Fisher in other stuff. But acting-wise, I didn't have any issue with him. The one thing that bugged me and that I thought about, I didn't actually realize this until like a day or two ago, is like there's moments in the film where he says he doesn't understand, like his body is continuously upgrading, and there's a bit of a fear, and Aquaman brings this up. There's a fear that he might not be able to control himself. And then that little, like, that goes nowhere. It's never brought up. He just does control himself, I guess. It's something that I thought maybe towards the end, Steppenwolf was going to wave his magic axe and, like, Cyborg was going to be like...
Oh, wait, he did lose control at one point. I'm trying to remember what happened, though.
It was... The only moment I remember is when Superman's revived and his systems view Superman as a threat, and it has an automatic, like, counterattack mode or something like that.
Yeah.
But beyond that, they made it out to be like maybe he was going to turn on him, like Steppenwolf was going to take control, but that never happens.
Well, I guess there's no real consequences, but the little moment is that Superman may have not attacked them if he hadn't done that. Like that's when Superman lost control of himself. But there was no consequence because no one really got hurt.
Yeah.
And he choked out Batman for a minute, but,
Which
do you bleed? He brought that line back.
I know, he got real dark in there. I'm like, oh my god, he's already dark again, shit!
Well, if they had done this series correctly, you would have had a lot, well, not a lot, but you would have had at least 2-3 Superman movies before he died, have him die, and then have him go dark after he comes back. Because when the Superman returns, the Superman Lives comic books, where when he comes back, he is, at first, not totally himself, and he is kind of darker.
Right.
But because they already had him dark before he died, it says like you don't want to see any more of him being dark. So, yeah, I don't know, they kind of messed it up.
Right. Okay, so now on to Aquaman, which probably to me was the least developed character of the movie. What do you think, man? I feel like he got the least development or character. I mean, he's just the badass bro of the group, and those kind of characters can go crap real easily. But I felt like Jason Momoa handled it well. I mean, he was fun, he was badass, but beyond that, like we get a little bit of his background. Apparently, he's got mommy issues or something like that. And
again, it comes back into not setting things up properly and not having the foundation in place for the character. I mean, his universe, the underwater Atlantis, is confusing if you don't know the backstory behind it.
Yeah.
So I did feel a little out of sorts when we did go to Atlantis. It's like, oh wait, okay. And also the effects didn't look good, but
yeah, no, it didn't look.
He was clearly playing the big, lovable, muscular, Drax archetype. I mean, he was definitely like the Drax of the group. And I felt like his upgrade to being, more badass than the Aquaman of the comics worked to some extent, but also didn't work in other regards.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jason Momoa fit the role well.
Yeah,
I think he's like he's a cool actor. I've seen videos of you ever seen this video online of him where he's like drinking like a huge mug of beer and he's got like the faux mustache and he like takes a fucking tomahawk and he chucks it at this target and he's just like, yeah, he seems like a fun guy. He seems like a dude you want to go to a party with.
Yeah, you mentioning that, I will say that I don't think that I would go with Cyborg being the least developed then, because like a Cyborg, he just doesn't have a lot of personality or character. I mean,
yeah.
Whereas Aquaman does have some personality for sure.
Okay,
I like when he sits on the lasso and he tells them like it is accidentally, and
I guess I forgot about that. I guess he does in a way, but that's kind of stuff like you already know, like typical loner stuff. It's just like I'm just afraid. I'm afraid of being close to people. My mom didn't love me. She never bought me that seahorse when I was a kid. Okay, finally, let's talk about the only female hero in this movie, Wonder Woman, who is still pretty much riding the wave of fame from her movie that came out earlier this year. Once again, Gal Gadot returns, and she's Wonder Woman again. She does a great job. She doesn't really get a lot of development. I mean, they bring up the whole her and Steve thing, and her not interacting with the world for 100 years, but events in the movie kind of seem like she does interact with the world somewhat, or a little bit, because the movie, one of the first scenes in the movie is her stopping those those terrorists that are trying to blow up the bank. And
you get the glorified ass shot as she does a spin kick on the ground. Zack Snyder like, hold on that butt. I feel like they shortened her skirt in this movie. It's like, it feels like it's a difference between Snyder directing her and Jenkins directing her.
Overall, how did you feel about Wonder Woman in this? I thought she was fine. I didn't have any issues with her. It's just that everything was so rushed that just like all the other characters, she only gets so much really development and characterization.
I think saying fine is the word I would use, which I guess is slightly disappointing just because in her movie, I think Patty Jenkins knows how to direct that character.
Yeah.
Like, she was so incredibly wonderful in Wonder Woman. Snyder, I feel like in both Batman vs. Superman and this, Wonder Woman was cool, but she wasn't amazing. Like, she was there and she was good. She was strong. She was wise. She, was the mother of the group and all that. She had all those things, but I felt that there was some element that Jenkins brought to her and infused the character with in Wonder Woman that was missing here. There's something. And I just love her so much in her solo film, and I feel like that didn't totally carry over here. But, I mean, I think she did the absolute greatest she could do with what they gave her. I think there was something missing in the way she was written or directed. But still good. I mean, not at all.
Oh, yeah. No,
I don't mean to trash her at all. I'm just saying in comparison to her solo film, she was so amazing.
Yeah, no, that movie gave, like, her character in that movie is like everything I want a superhero to be. I freaking love that. All right, and finally, let's go into a few. There's some Easter eggs in this film. Things to talk about. In the scene where Wonder Woman was narrating when Steppenwolf tried to take over Earth before.
Oh god, the Lord of the Rings monologue.
Yeah, that thing.
Three boxes, one goes to man.
Yeah,
one goes to the
We see the humans and the Atlanteans and the Ethnos teaming up. We see a few of the Olympian gods. We see Zeus zap Steppenwolf with some lightning, mess his ass up. And then we also see a Green Lantern flying around. I'm not familiar with which Green Lantern it was. It was definitely an alien, but did you like the little Green Lantern thing in there?
I felt the whole first 45 minutes of this movie was so jumbled and rushed with spoon-fed exposition, not proper creative ways of telling the story that I had trouble caring about that sequence. I was just kind of like, this is really like forced. But yeah, it was cool to see the cameo, I guess. Maybe there's a director's cut that has this laid out a little bit different. Like,
there's tons of scenes that were cut out of this movie.
Yeah, if you watch the trailer, lots of stuff. So I wonder if that scene originally played as like a pre-title sequence almost or something. It would make sense because it takes place in the past.
Yeah.
But like if you had that played there, I just hate how Gal Gadot has to explain all the backstory in that monologue. So if it was presented differently, I think I'd be more excited. But I didn't like the way it was presented. But yes, kind of cool they reference it.
Yeah. All right, and final thing we're going to talk about is the post-credits scene, which I enjoyed, except for one factor of it. There was one factor to it I didn't enjoy. It's a post-credits scene, and I love it. It's like kind of like sunset. There's two guys in a boat, and you can tell who the one guy in the boat is because he's got like the swords and the bandana flapping off the helmet. Deathstroke. Deathstroke shows up in this film, post-credit scene, and he has a private meeting with Lex Luthor, who's escaped jail, and he's on a yacht, and he's dressed like Lex Luthor. He's got the suit, the big suit, all that stuff. And he's like, Lex Luthor's like, oh, Mr. Wilson, you need to form a league of their own? Yeah.
You had to throw in the Jesse Eisenberg. Woo!
No, Mr. Batman.
What's
a peach tea? That would be thick.
Some fans are wondering if what's the actor's name?
Joe Manganiello.
Yes, some people were.
I figured out how to say it.
Some people were wondering if he was still going to make an appearance as Deathstroke, considering that they were throwing out Ben Affleck's script that included him as the main villain. And here, the answer is that yes, they are. A lot of people were thrown for a loop because they thought that Darkseid was going to be the next villain for the Justice League to fight, but it looks like they're setting up now the Legion of Doom instead, which threw some people for a loop. Kind of surprising. But I gotta say that even though it's cool to see Deathstroke, I felt like Jesse Eisenberg kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah, and like everything was cool. Like, oh my god, Deathstroke! Oh my god! And then Eisenberg was in the soup. And then once I looked above like the tie, and I was like, oh crap, it's still Eisenberg. Which I like Jesse Eisenberg. We talked about it. We both like him as an actor. It's just that he's not right for Luthor at all.
Yeah, honestly, if they recast him, I wouldn't have cared. But what I want to happen. I want to see his father turn out to not be dead.
Yeah.
Come and kill him like you freaking poser, and then take over, and guess what? It's Bryan Cranston or Joaquin Phoenix, who's maybe a little too young to be Jesse Eisenberg's father, but that doesn't matter.
Fine. Yeah. Mike, any final thoughts on any other things, any little spoilers or anything you want to go over, man?
Not spoiler-wise, but I will say that I think this is a huge improvement over Batman vs. Superman.
Oh, indeed. Oh, God.
It's definitely enjoyable. I had fun watching the movie, especially second half especially.
Yeah.
When Superman came back is where it really picked up for me.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. It has flaws. It's definitely not a great film by any stretch of the imagination. Like, if this was a Marvel's MCU film, it would be disappointing.
Yeah.
But for a DC film, okay for a DC film is good.
Yeah.
By DC standards.
It was just a shame. Oh, excuse me. Which is a shame we have to say that. Because there's no... Because I said before, again, I love Captain America, I love Iron Man, Hulk, and Black Widow, and Scarlet Witch, and all those MCU characters. But no matter how well these Marvel movies does, it doesn't change the fact that DC has Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. They're the biggest ones. They're the most iconic and famous heroes worldwide. There's countries where people... they may have heard of Iron Man, but they've definitely heard of Superman. They've definitely heard of Batman. And these characters, they deserve more. All right, everybody, that is our spoiler review of Justice League. Please tell us what your point of view is down in the comments. And once again, I'd like to thank Mike for doing a crossover episode. Thank you for coming on, buddy. Appreciate it. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please go check out Mike's channel. Once again, I'll leave a link down in the description to his Justice League review, so you can find his channel via there. And, of course, please follow me here on my channel for more reviews. But until next time, thank you for viewing things through our perspective. Spoiler review of Justice League.
Yeah, bitches.
That's staying in. Anyway.